Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, friends, all good, Munes. So, friends, we have Tim, we have Ginhai, and we have Muneswaran all today in the show. Today, we're going to discuss. We're going to have a lot of light bulb moments, a lot of questions, and one of the biggest thing right now is actually the post MCO. What are we going to do? There was a lot of conversations earlier on what to do during the MCO, but now after the MCO has been lifted, there's again changes happening. So what do we do after this, right? So before that, before we start, let's just say hello to Tim. Tim is
Hi.
actually retail mastermind. Ginhai has got a lot of industries, multiple consulting background. He's also a speaker. Munes is also a speaker and trainer, and he is an expert in the hotel industry. Right, he has been speaking a lot in that. Munes is based in KK. Ginhai and Tim are based right here in Klang Valley. All right, and as you can see, I'm based at the back of me. Right, is KLCC.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
All right. So just say hello, drop by, say your hellos and all so that Ginhai, Tim, Munes can, reply your comments. And if you have any questions, don't forget to put them here because these minds, every time you get to speak to Ginhai or Tim or Munes, you will be leaving with a lot of ideas, and not only just ideas, but workable ideas, right? So drop your question here early on so that they can also have a chance to think about it and give you some, answers that you can leave and implement immediately, right? So let me just quickly introduce Tim, Ginhai, and Munes, right? So, all right, just give me a second. Something's lost here, right?
Wonderful technology, right? I'm waiting for the Iron Man day, when you just like that, and everything is there.
Just trying to
Click
pick up,
window is there.
and then it just got lost out of the screen already. Okay, so let me just share a little bit about Ginhai. Ginhai is known as the chief light bulb. Okay, that's the unofficial title because what he does best is to help people get clarity and get ideas on how to achieve their goals, right? Ginhai is a business consultant, trainer, coach, and entrepreneur, an enabler and inspirer. All right, so wonderful. And Muneswaran Ramasamy, he's an experienced hotelier. For more than 25 years, he has been in this line. He has opened hotels, restaurants, and also a hotel school in Malaysia. Okay, and he has also worked in Malaysia, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi, and also Mauritius. Okay, some of the companies he has worked for are Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, Starwood, Hilton, Intercontinental, and Rotana in various roles. All right, and then you want to hear about Tim Liew. He is a serial entrepreneur and also a speaker with over 16 years of experience in the retail design industry. He's one of the co-founders of Visata Creative. His passion is in helping retail clients to design profitable businesses and spaces. All right. So welcome, you guys. Really good to have you all here.
Thanks.
The wonderful mind. All right. So today, let's just start with a simple thing, right? What has been happening before the MCO, and then what has happened during the MCO, right? Maybe Tim, you can start first because like you are in the retail side, you see a lot of businesses and how they were before the MCO and during the MCO. Maybe you can share a little bit of what's the current situation first.
Great. Thanks, Vyasa. Well, I mean, prior to the MCO, really, in the retail, I mean, I can't speak for all. From the retail perspective, what was really happening in the market was a lot of external frictions. In the sense, there was a lot of uncertainty in the market moving in end 2019. So retailers weren't really getting a lot of business towards the end. It was a very quiet CNY because by I think end December, COVID had already hit many of the parts of China, and of course, Chinese are one of the major tourists coming out of their country to our country, basically the whole world. So when it came early January, there was already a slowdown in the retail market from the perspective of without the Chinese tourists, it's going to be very quiet. So once the pandemic fully hit, that's where we, of course, most retails were shut down, except for maybe some of my clients like Jaya Grocer, who were essential businesses, and they carried on. So really, all in all, I think the retail market it's gone from, to a certain extent, bad to right now really bad. Coming up post MCO, there is also still a lot of uncertainty in the market. For many of the retailers, both the retail and the mall managements that I've been speaking to, the consensus is that everyone's extremely careful with what they want to do. All expansions on hold. Whatever they were planning to revamp their stores are also on hold. And I think the mall management as well, they're struggling to try to get tenants not to leave the market, to be honest. Especially when it's coming time for their renewals, for an extension of the period. A lot of businesses are really looking at this opportunity to really, the word I would use is they're looking to streamline their operations. A lot of them see a bigger opportunity to go online now. So they're really kind of in their mind thinking about whether they should continue being a brick and mortar business or they should be fully online.
Okay. All right. So I think that there's a lot of stuff to share afterwards on the part where you shared about recalibration and streaming back again, right? So we'll leave that to the next session. And Munes, do you want to share about the hotel side? What's happening in the hotel side so far?
Okay, based in KK Sabah, they depend most of the tourists from China and Korea. So during CNY, we still had a lot of Chinese in the city, and you can only start to see the reduction of tourists only actually early March only. So there was still a lot of activities happening, but everybody was taken aback when the border was closed. So Sabah was one of the earliest to close the border to the Chinese market and Korean market. So that took the hotels by surprise here, and they were not really prepared for what's going to happen actually. So it was in a very difficult situation to assess the business level moving forward for the first few weeks actually. So that's what happened, and I think later on it spilled over to West Malaysia when the number of flights started to reduce actually.
Okay. So how the hotel industry right now at the moment?
At the moment, it's reopening slowly, but at a very, very, very low occupancy of between 5 to 10% only, because it's currently focusing. They can only focus on the domestic tourism, and the other thing is that's not helping the cash flow is also because of the room rates have actually gone very, very low actually. So 5-star hotel rates have actually dropped way, way below. So you can get a room stay in a 5-star hotel between 200 ringgit to 300 ringgit in Sabah at this moment. And in West Malaysia, you can get even less than 200 ringgit for a night stay without breakfast. So rates are being thrown at the moment by most of the hotels is just to keep the business afloat, and at the same time the usual cost cutting measure is taking place where reductions in salary of up to 50% is going on, and unpaid leave of up to 3 months is going on at the moment.
All right. Thanks, Munes, for the feedback. And Ginhai, you have seen a lot of businesses from various industries, right? So what has been really going on from what you see?
Yeah, thanks, Vyasa. I think at the beginning of the year, as Tim said, there was some uncertainty. And of course, before that, towards the end of last year, some people were already talking about potentially there's a global recession coming. So there was some small signs, but yet the uncertainty. So I think there were two camps. One camp was the more pessimistic people, or doom and gloom, we better get ready kind of thing. And then the other camp is like, well, I make my own future. I don't care about this. I don't believe this thing is going to happen. And then, but nobody was prepared when COVID came in, right? Yeah, and especially it was literally like 36 hours notice that we're going to shut everything down. And most people were not able to do anything within those 36 hours to plan. And of course, what made it worse was it was only a 2-week shutdown at first.
Yes.
Yeah, so most people are like, okay lah, tahan for 2 weeks. Let's just, make some dalgona coffee and whatnot. Post on social media. Okay lah, spend some time with my family, all this type of thing. Catch up on some reading, do some decluttering at home, and then after that, announce another 2 weeks. And then people started to go, hey, this is a bit serious. 1 month no business, and then it just kept on getting extended, and that's when people started realizing, oh, shoot, I better do something. And then after that, not realizing what they could do, right? And then with all the incentives and stuff like that, and then people panicking and like, can I not get, and all the worries. And I think, so a lot of businesses were really caught unprepared. And here in Malaysia, I think our economy has been fairly steady for the last 10 years, give or take a little bit. And so most SMEs, just a little bit less profit, a little more profit, but no real major doom and gloom situation. But this one really caught them off guard. Most of them, according to the research, was like they only have like 2 to 3 months, and in fact, some of them only have 1 month of surplus. So that, I think, was a really hard situation for them to get through. And I think that's the major concern that I have is about the SMEs, the micro SMEs, and also those who are self-employed, who tend to, kais pagi, makan pagi kind of thing. And so now with this current situation where it's gone into the so-called recovery mode, there's a lot of optimism. But I think after 2 weeks of the so-called recovery mode, we're seeing that for some businesses, they do see an upsurge and things are starting to get back to closer to the previous levels. But for many other businesses out there, and I think especially non-essential B2B businesses, they're seeing that still business is very, very slow because many people are being careful with their spending because they don't know how long this is going to last. So that's kind of the situation as I see it right now. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ginhai, for that actual situation on the ground, right? So friends, we are here today to see how we can all start thriving back again. And the conversation today is all about the road to recovery, right? Of course, there's a lot of info and what's real out there, but today we don't want to be in a pessimistic mode. What we want to actually see is how we can together with different ideas that sometimes get stuck in the background and we are totally not aware. And that's the idea of bringing this group of masterminders around together to come up with a lot of ideas and to trigger some light bulb moments with all of us, right? So one of the questions we can start with today is, with the reality of reduced spending, okay, due to both businesses and individuals, their income being affected, how can businesses still generate sufficient revenue to stay alive, enough for the business owners to make a living after covering all the costs? Okay, so we can start with Ginhai. Can you help to answer this question?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you really need to consider is what's their value proposition right now. Because we all know that business is basically about the value, right? What you are offering to the client or the customer versus the value of the money in their hand. When that value is sufficiently good enough for them, more than the value of the money in their hand, and that's where things exchange, right? So previously, in the previous situation, there was a lot more money. and so there was the value of that in their hand was a little bit less. So they don't hold on to it as much, and so they spend more easily. But now with the inflow of money being uncertain, therefore it becomes a more precious commodity. So whereas something that would cost 50 ringgit last time, easy to spend, now 50 ringgit think 2 times, 3 times before spend. Yeah, and so we need to look at what is the value that we're providing now. How can we up that value for them in a way that makes sense for our own business, right? So what is it that we can either produce or offer at lower cost, but is good for the consumer or the customer or the client, right? And one of the things to look at is also what's important to people at this time. Whereas previously some things were more important, now I think there's been a shift in priorities, and things like health and wellness, or even like how to get people's attention, how to be online. These are the things that now people are more prioritizing. And so to recognize those shifts and to recognize how we as a business can provide more value to the clients.
Okay. Any ideas there? Maybe Tim, do you have any ideas on some of the things that people can do during this time? For example, in retail.
In terms of bringing people back to the retail outlets. Well,
Yes.
I mean, right now I think with you can see there's a lot of added safety nets, a lot of added security going into malls. So I think retailers generally need to focus really on on two approaches, I would say. The first being they have to have a very strong online presence. But having that online presence alone is not enough, because what people want to do is they want to find out information about you online, and they want to find out a little bit more about your products online. So you've got to have a very solid online, I would say, presence, where and then that translates to people coming into the store and getting an experience out of it. Because right now, to get into a mall, you've got to scan, given your details, take your temperature, every outlet you go to. So the whole idea of window shopping has gone out the door. There's no more window shopping. If you're gonna go into a store right now, you're either gonna be thinking, if I'm gonna go in, am I gonna buy something or I'm not gonna buy something? So the reality is that we've lost that impulse buy in that sense. So what I think retailers need to do is they need to move that whole trigger impulse to the online side. And then once people are in the store, deliver them, give them a reason to come back. Whether be it right now for the short term, I see whether it's a very sales oriented incentives, or something a truly different experience when they come in. There's got to be something that's done. So that would trigger people to want to come in, to go through all that hurdle of getting their temperature scan to just come back into the store again. So another thing that I think retailers can do is now invest in things like I think you're seeing it now in the US. We call it BOPIS, or buy online and pick up in store, where they're actually already shopping, making their payments online, but they're actually coming in store to collect it. Because one of the most expensive thing I think all of us know is in online retail is really the last leg of delivery. So that's something that I think retailers, no matter how much they want to help, they can't really cover the cost. And it's particularly expensive in a country like ours, in Malaysia, because our logistics net of, let's say, 30 million people, it's just not worthwhile for someone like DHL or even FedEx to invest in the logistics, because our country's population is too small. So that has always been the hindrance of what's stopping online retail from really growing, is the cost of logistics. So what I think retailers right now need to do is make sure that they have a strong online presence, give people a very strong experiential feeling to come back in store. That way, I think you'll encourage, and they really got to look at their business differently. What the sad thing I'm seeing now as we're going back into retail, as the country is reopening, is that a lot of retailers are still looking at their business from how it used to be prior to the MCO, and not understanding that things have totally changed. So I think these are some of the things that they need to do very quickly, a quick shift to actually get people back into their stores.
Okay. All right. So we'll come back to you with some more ideas after this, some of the examples of what works and all. Meanwhile, I'll ask Munes first. Any ideas you have on how we can improve the retail situation? Because in your line, the hotel line, the F&B is also very tight, very closely, right? How can we improve in this area?
Yeah, currently the most of the hotels, they have only opened one restaurant and the room service to deliver the food. And there are a couple of hotels, like what Tim said, their online presence is still not strong enough. So there's only a few hotels, whether it's in Sabah or in West Malaysia, who are very aggressively promoting themselves online via food promotions or via staycations as well. I think the only challenge is now is for someone to book a room and go and stay as a staycation in KL or wherever, is that you can't use the swimming pool. So that has been a bit of a deterrent for families actually to start booking. And if you also notice, the booking period is also very short, and it's usually about 2 weeks, and then your staying period is just slightly longer, right up to March next year, up to June next year. So maybe the booking period could be extended a bit longer, and providing discounts on the food and beverage side. And now since massage and spas are allowed to be operational, maybe discounts on that. But at the same time, they can still maintain slightly their rate integrity. That means they don't just drop the rate, because we know there's a price war going on now. So that will actually help with their cash flow, looking at getting revenue from other streams as well, not just from the rooms only. And the other partner that actually can help the hotels is the online travel agencies, because whenever we book from Agoda or Booking or Traveloka, example, there is a certain commission that is actually charged to the hotel. So from what I have gathered information yesterday, the OTAs have actually not reduced their commission fees yet. So if you happen to book a hotel stay now, you're still paying the same commission rate. The hotel is still paying the same commission rate pre-COVID period. So actually, that's not really helpful to the hotel side, because on a monthly basis, depending on the size of the hotel, each hotel will be paying between 5 to 6 figures on commission fees alone per month. So that's quite a lot, and that's a big number actually. So I think the other partners who are involved should also be looking to help out each other at this time of a period.
Right. From what you see, is the hotel bookings going up right now compared to before?
Not much, because like I said, if the families were to book a hotel and they can't use the pool, so what's the point going to stay in the hotel? Because you don't have the pools open, and now only you have the gym is allowed, and now only you have the spa open. So actually that deters especially the families. But if it's just for couples, yeah, they can just go and chill out. So the bookings have not really increased so much, maybe about 2 to 3% increase, but still is between 10 to 15% only at the moment.
Okay. Thanks very much, Munes.
Thank you,
Ginhai,
Faisal.
you have been sharing a lot of very interesting ideas on how some businesses have actually turned around during this time, right? Would you be able to share some of those?
I quite like some of the strategies that, especially F&B, have been very creative about it. The capacity of the restaurants has gone right down, and then even doing delivery and stuff like that. Not many people, not as many people are keen on that, because the food gets cold, and then whatever nice presentation that you had, by the time it gets to your house in that box is no different from any other restaurant, really.
Yes.
So that's kind of been a challenge for them. And then the truncated operating hours. So some of them have actually resorted to selling ahead. They sell vouchers for you to redeem in the future. So that does several things. You can now go in and get a good deal on, let's say, a burger or a pack of noodles that you can take away, and you don't have to wait for delivery to go round before I finally get to your place. So you can have it at a decent temperature. But then what happens with that is that people who go in and pick it up themselves, they tend to not only have that item, because it's very rare that let's say the whole family will all eat, for example, a Whopper burger, right? And then also there's usually a limit on how many vouchers you can buy. So if you're going there to get let's say two Whopper burgers, for example, and then the rest of the family, what are they going to eat? Are you going to go to 3-4 places to buy food for them? Not usually, right?
No.
So that's more business. Yeah, and then with the ancillaries, exactly as Munes was saying, we got the fries, the drinks, the whatever pie, this and that. So those are additional income that comes in. A different strategy that some of them I've seen them use is also about giving you voucher which has long expiry. So Malaysian being very kiasu, the longer the expiry, the more they like it, because they're scared they cannot use it in time. Right?
Yeah.
So the longer, the more they will buy.
Yep,
Yeah?
exactly.
And what happens with that is then now you don't redeem it now, and they're assuring themselves of business over, for example, the next 3 months.
Yes.
Right? Because if you've got 3 months of expiry, now you know you're going to get some business coming in that time. And of course, it's the same principle as just now. Malaysian, again, being very sociable. Makan is a very sociable thing. So you never go and eat alone usually. So you always chill your friend, bring your buddy or your family, go and eat together.
Yes.
And there's one restaurant where they allow you to buy any number of vouchers, but each table can only use one voucher at a time.
As usual in F&B.
Family, and you sit at 5 tables, you're not going to use many vouchers, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
yes.
one thing I've seen them do. Then and I think many people know about Burger Lab, right? What they did, it went so viral. And
Maybe
what
you
they
can
did.
share that point. I was just about to ask you about that point. Burger Lab and
Okay.
the prepaid vouchers, right?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. The whole strategy is very interesting. He didn't post it. The founder didn't post it on his official Burger Lab site, right? He used it on his own personal FB. So it became a personal appeal for support as a fellow Malaysian, support our local F&B brand, right? So that touched many people's heart. And then he's like, I don't need a lot from you. Just buy 1 or 2 vouchers. So 1 voucher, 50 ringgit. Maximum you support me 100 ringgit. I only need a certain amount. I think it was like 50,000. And then we can go through the next 1-2 months. And so the interesting thing about it is that the longer you keep the voucher, then the more it's worth, right? I think if you use it within the next 3 months, it's 50 ringgit. And then if you use it 3 months after that, it becomes like 60 ringgit. And eventually, if you use it like 9 to 12 months later, it becomes 70 ringgit. So incentivize you to redeem it later. And so similar to what that previous example I gave, now they're ensuring themselves of a longer stream of customers coming in. Yeah. And not only that, because the offer is so attractive, it's like many people who are not regular Burger Lab customers support, because it was a heartfelt appeal, right? So support. So then you're gonna, again, same thing, like you bring your people, your friends, whatever, go together and makan. But the other thing that's interesting here is how many of us have bought voucher, long expiry. After that, no problem, I sure can use one. And then after that, you find it on your table underneath the book like 2 months after it expired.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, all of us. Yeah. So, free money. If you forget, it's free money for them.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that's quite a interesting strategy to use and potentially profitable. Yeah.
So I mean, people are just jumping in to support. I think at one point of time they just told everybody, okay, we have actually hit our targets. Enough for now. If we need more support, we'll let you know, right? I think that was pretty nice of the founder.
Yeah, and I think what's good about that is that means he knew his numbers really well. He knew what he needed. He knew what was the shortfall, and so he was able to calculate that. And so he went out with a target in mind, got it accomplished within, I think it was 2 days they raised it.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how Malaysians jumped in during this time. Right. So, Tim, how about you? What have you seen? Some of the crazy ideas, some of the things that can actually work. Especially now during this time, how to pick things up back again.
I've been seeing actually a lot of businesses like for example brands like Lavender. When you come into store and buy their stuff, right, they're also encouraging you to actually try to move you online, to shop online. So they're giving out vouchers like 10 ringgit for you to try online shopping. So you can see a lot more of these brands actually trying to move their customers to online. I've seen brands like Kyeonchon who actually trying to encourage you to please, even before you come in, right? They want to cut short your waiting time to book ahead before you come to the store, and then they will even go as far as to let you know the moment when it's your time to come in, so they have your contact details. So they're not being intrusive by taking your data, but they're also positioning from the point of view of I'm trying to help you out to make sure you don't wait in a long line. Those are more of the things that I've been seeing a lot of. Definitely been seeing a lot of our I think Aeon was one of the first very early on in the MCO period. They were the first to actually implement BOPIS, which is buy online pickup or curbside pickup they call it, where you drive and then they will come up and bring you the thing. So those are the innovative methods, and I've seen a lot of brands as well, retail brands starting to look into how they can actually maximize the flow of their outlets, so that you don't end up kind of like crisscrossing one another in terms of customers. So one of the things I can tell you that we are looking into for our client right now, Jaya Grocer, moving forward for all future outlets, is to give more space for shoppers, so you don't end up in tight corridors where it's very difficult to social distance and stuff like that. Because I think social distancing, mask wearing, it's becoming it'll become a way of life. Definitely, I see this whole COVID situation has also given contactless payments, mobile wallets a very strong lease on life, because we're talking about customers who are not willing to carry so much cash anymore. They want that convenience of mobile payment. However, the only challenge with mobile payments is that because different retailers are carrying different wallets, so it's kind of like for shoppers like you and I, right? We've got to have how many mobile wallets do you have in your phone right now? I can easily say at least 2 or 3. So that's really the challenge. I think moving forward, retailers, some of them are even going as far as now to go for integrators, where you can use all mobile wallets there, doesn't matter. And I think moving forward, this would be the future. I think what I'll put it this way, we are doing 2030 retail trends 2020. We fast forward our retail trends by 10 years already, just by having this COVID situation currently. One of the great things I've been seeing as well, unfortunately, is not happening here, but it's happening in China, is that the local government and the federal government and basically the government in general is encouraging people to go out back to shop by giving vouchers. I mean, in our case, our government did try with the My Sejahtera 50 ringgit into your mobile wallet. However, it's even bigger in terms of the support from the Chinese government. They're giving, I think, a couple of 100 ringgit in terms to get shoppers to go out there and spend now. So that's what they're doing to generate the retail economy. And in China, well, I mean, as of today, of course, there's been a resurface of some infection, but generally the business was actually recovering. So that's some of the things that we can actually see, some of the changes that retailers are making in terms of moving more onto the online presence, as well as all the conveniences to get customers to come back in.
Right. So you were saying that in China they're giving vouchers to go and shop back in physical
stores.
Physical stores, right? Just to encourage movement and all. But one of the questions I had in mind just now was like, some of the physical stores are now also encouraging people to go online, away from the physical stores. And why is that happening?
Well, I think number one, primarily if you're looking at F&B or any outlet in general, the government's mandate right now has been to limit the amount of shoppers at one time. So one of two things is going to happen. Either you're waiting a very long time for you to get into the restaurant, or you're waiting for a very long time to get into a store. In fact, I just came from Mid Valley. There was a line in front of Uniqlo for people to go in because they're trying to limit the amount of shoppers inside. So,
Right.
so this move by retailers to try to move you online is basically to ease customers' frustration with having to wait. No one wants to wait in line to get their stuff. So that's why they're trying to in a sense ease the amount of traffic that would normally come into the store, and in a sense, like I think like what Ginhai said, you know, when you're using the vouchers or when you buy the vouchers ahead of time, right, you're really giving them the money ahead of time, and it allows them to continue their operations. So but unfortunately, the barrier or the challenge right now is that smaller brands, the mom and pop stores, they either don't know how to move into this digitization of business, or what they're facing is really they're unable to adopt the technology because it's pretty expensive. Like for example, take I think the temperature scanning machines. The cheapest I found so far, rental per unit per month is about 1,000 ringgit. So for small mom and pop businesses, single owner outlets, right? That's pretty expensive. That's almost the cost of a staff, you know. So the question is, the challenge right now is these small brands, smaller SMEs, smaller retailers, they need to go digital. They need to change the way they do it. But the challenge is how do they go about doing it? So I think there are ways to do it, but they need a lot of help. So forums like what Ginhai is saying, ideas are these are the things that them to slowly digitize their business.
Okay. Thanks, Tim. Munis, do you have like any ideas, or have you seen some of the hotels, because hotels are actually having a big blow, right? Like it or not, they are very physical. So have you seen any like special or very interesting ideas any hotels has implemented to help themselves during this time?
I have to say the hoteliers are very traditional. Okay. But I've seen in China, one of the hotels where they have digitalized the menu, so the customer can actually order directly from the table where the menu is on the table and is digitalized. So you actually reduce on your wait staff. So the only wait staff that you're going to have is once the food is prepared in the kitchen, the wait staff is just going to come and serve you the food instead of a server is coming and traditionally now server is coming and giving you the menu and taking the order and etc. So digitalization will be one way of moving forward with regards to F&B. Same goes to booking online as well. Instead of going through the OTAs, actually the big chains actually can develop their own process in terms of room bookings and giving the customers the discount instead of paying the commission to the OTAs. You see, and we know the room inventories to the extent where the customers actually can go and choose the type of room that they want. We don't have that yet at the moment, because currently always will put at the bottom of your reservation is whatever sea view room you prefer is subject to availability. And
Okay.
sea view room and sea facing view rooms can be actually very misleading. So sometimes the customers will say, I booked for a sea view, but I get a partial view. Yeah, it's sea facing. So you see, so it's just that how much leeway that the hotels would like to give to the customers in terms of even selecting the room types based on the inventory. It goes back to first come first serve basis, as well. So whoever pays digitally as well and gets to book their room sea facing, sea view, garden view, mountain view. I mean, we have a lot of mountains here in KK. So it all goes back to the customers. So that part there, so when they arrive at the hotel, actually, the only thing that the reception or the front office can do is just provide them with the key card or the key for them, because the room is already been allocated from the booking system itself.
Right.
Other than that is promoting more of the F&B and spa vouchers for a long-term period, like what the Burger Lab did actually.
The rates, the hotel rates and all, can people, instead of companies like Agoda and all, can they book directly with the hotels right now?
Can there is an option, but not all hotels have that option. The bigger hotels have the option, and they encourage people to actually book, and they throw in 10 to 15% discount when you book direct with them actually. But not all hotels actually have it.
Okay, so that there could be a big move there lah, on the hotel side, right?
Yeah, because that's how it was done traditionally actually. Previously, about 20 over years ago, most of the bookings you have to call the hotel and make a booking. But the only advantage of the OTAs, they tend to promote your hotel plus all the other hotels in their portfolio, more visibility you get online. So that's the difference.
Got it. Okay, so now we're gonna just also talk. Ginhai, do you have anything to share? Yeah.
Yeah, just in our research, we came across some interesting ways that some hotels actually have transformed or pivoted their business.
Awesome.
So one of them was, I think it was in Korea, that they had, I think it's in Japan, sorry, where they found that they are so used to having the husband go to work and be out the whole day. So now the husband is working from home, they don't know how to get along anymore, or they start to get on each other's nerves, or suddenly the kids are running around for the husband to work. So they actually offer it as a kind of office away from home, because there are so many hotels. Yeah, and then so you just in your neighborhood, you go to the nearby hotel, take the room for a day rate, and you work from there, and you have a peace and quiet. You know, you can order room service coffee or whatever, or there's a ready coffee inside the room already. Internet connection usually good in Japan, so no issue there. So they're away from the kids. The wife gets a break from the husband. The husband gets a break from the wife and kids.
Yeah.
So that they were promoting it. They call it like a divorce saver or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And then I think,
interesting.
yeah, there was a hotel in Australia where they converted from a hotel concept into a like midterm rental. So for people who would, staying there for three months or something like that, 5 months kind of thing. So they converted it at much cheaper rates, but of course it comes with much less service lah. So like housekeeping, maybe twice a week kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of hotels in Bangkok are doing that. They're converting the hotels to long-term staycations, apartments. So there's a guaranteed rental there for 6 months to 12 months during this period.
And why would people want to stay in a long-term rental at the moment?
More of a little bit of the services like what Jinhai has on, because when you stay in a residential hotel, you get most of the services. I mean, even like now, you get at least twice of housekeeping services. You get your minibars, you get some of the facilities, especially like the gyms. So some people prefer to have that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the special deals as well for sometimes foreigners who would here on business and then now they kind of stuck. Yeah. Or some who maybe their lease is up and they were initially going to buy a place, but now they are not sure whether they still want to buy, and then they're not sure they want to sign a lease or what. So they kind of, this is an interim for them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the questions being thrown in is like, Airbnb is also those who are having the bed and breakfast, all right, or they have been quite affected by this whole situation, right? Any ideas on how what can be done to help them improve their business? Ginhai, you have any ideas on that one? Munes?
Perhaps the idea, just kind of to piggyback on that Japanese hotel concept, is a lot of companies now are much more okay with work from home. In fact, some of them have decided to cut office space and make certain roles permanently work from home. So that brings down the question of how many of us actually have a good setup at home to work comfortably, and with especially now some of the younger kids are going back to the daycare and stuff like that. But still, if you have a standard 1-2 kid at home, and if your other significant other has to go to work, how to work like that is something can be a challenge. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so perhaps yeah, perhaps that might be something to look at as well. Yeah.
At
So
the moment here, Airbnb, Vaisa, a lot of the Airbnb actually and homestays have been really, really affected. I know a guy has like 30 units of Airbnb, sea facing, and he's really been affected. So what they're trying to do is trying to rent it out more on a long term basis than on a daily basis to the small expat community here. So not much really things are actually happening on the Airbnb side because the hotels have already dropped their rates so low. So the question goes back to how low can the Airbnb also drop their rates? You see.
That's right.
Yeah, very interesting. So, Tim, do you have any ideas on this side?
Well, I think all in all that it's quite challenging, to be honest, to be part of the Airbnb. Even what I would strongly encourage them to do is to tap into definitely have to tap to the local market in terms of maybe the holiday part. But I think Munes has a very good point. The hotels dropping their rates so low already, right? It's hard to challenge when it's a full service versus right now the option of an Airbnb where there's no service at all. So that I think is something. I think the bread and breakfasts have a big challenge ahead. I don't think there's much that can be done at this point in time. Not with our borders closed, to be honest. Even with the locals traveling right now, there's nothing much that can be done. Perhaps if a slightly bigger with an attached pool, then that may be a plus point, for the family to get away together, and then there's a pool attached to the property. I think that you can, because you can't use the pools in the hotel, so naturally this would be a private staycation kind of thing. I think that could
So there is a resort in Langkawi on a hilltop,
yeah, correct.
and yeah. So they're offering package for 3 days, 2 nights at 2,000 plus, with breakfast for 2 adults and 2 children. But like what you said, Tim, they have a private plunge pool, so that actually helps the decision making easier actually.
Yeah.
And are people staying in those hotels?
They have been promoting it. I've been seeing a lot, but it all depends on the bookings that comes in, because if you look at the corporate side, there's a lot of people who have lost jobs as well, who are on pay cuts, etc., right? So the only one who has actually quite a bit of good cash flow are the government servants.
Right.
So it depends if the target marketing is correct. Yeah, then they will have quite a lot of bookings for the coming school holidays in August.
Right. So that's the next run where a lot of people will be moving again in that's in July and then August, right?
Yeah, and we have actually opened our borders already, so we are welcoming the West Malaysians and Sarawakians to come over.
That being said, I think Vyasa, if I may just add, right?
Sure.
There's been a recovery in the top end of retail, the luxury. I think some of you have read the first day that one of the retailers opened. I think was 2.4 billion. 2.4 million they managed to close. I cannot remember what is the luxury brand. Was it Birkin? The Hermes. When they first opened back in China, that first day they scored a 2.4 million in terms of sales. So you see that in terms of probably the senior management have had a pay cut, but their salary before pre-COVID has been very high already. So in that sense, I've really been seeing some of my more I would say clients who are doing very well off. They have been going shopping, to be honest. They've been going shopping in terms of even properties. A lot of options right now. One of my clients, that they're asking what's he doing. He say, "Oh, I'm looking for houses to buy." So I think for the extremely wealthy, right? Right now things are becoming cheaper. In fact, even right now, if you look in the US, what's happening a boom now is the private air industry, where for I think less than $1,000 US, you can fly a group of probably 8 people to on a private jet at $1,000 a person. You can fly a private jet to Las Vegas, or wherever you want to go. So there's less people you're going to see, private check-in, everything. So those luxury businesses and luxury are starting to see a boom in their business right now.
Right. So for a while, I've heard that in Malaysia, some of the luxury brands were having a hit. But is that happening here in Malaysia also? Right now, are they booming up back again? The luxury brands in Malaysia.
I think they are not that badly affected. Certainly, they are affected from the point of view, because a majority of the luxury brands right here in Malaysia were basically being propped up by your China tourists, which the fact that till the time that they don't come back, right, there's gonna be a hit. But in terms of them being able to survive or to continue, right, it won't be that bad, because the price per product that they're selling, to a certain extent, sometimes can cover the whole month's rental. Just one product can cover the whole month's rental in a mall. So in that sense, it's not that badly affected, but you can definitely see they are having a slight hit. In fact, if I'm not wrong, Munis maybe can correct me, but last year when we were talking to our association members in KK, KK was the only state that had a positive net flow of tourists to our country. All the other states were having negative cash flow, negative number of tourists coming in, but KK was the only one who had a positive number of tourists coming in. So they were doing the malls there were doing exceptionally well, basically.
Very, 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 very well. When you have about 15 flights coming from China and Korea every day,
Correct.
you definitely, so whether you turn left, right, front, back, you will see tons of Chinese tourists. And there were some resorts, they were charging like between 600 to 700 per person per day.
Wow.
Yeah. So these were the rates that was going crazy high, and actually the local market was forgotten for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So now they have no choice but to fall back a little bit, but not much. It'll take some time for the market to catch up slowly. It will never be pre-COVID, but at least once the international borders are open, we will start to see the flights coming back better here. But yeah, true, because every coffee shop was turned into a retail shop actually here.
Okay. So another question just came in is like, what can we do to encourage the local tourism? Because I know Malaysia has been like it has evolved to become more international tourist centric, but how can we now start getting local tourists to go local again, and the hotels to be really like encouraging hotels, retails, how can they encourage the local tourists to buy things again or stay?
I think one of the key things would be to perhaps package together with the activities. Yeah, because I think right now, certainly my own experience and my friends and family's experiences, if you stay at local hotels, it's pretty much you go there and stay, and then if you want to book an activity or something from the hotel, it's probably at double the rate that you might get from an external travel agent or like a driver or something like that. Yeah, and then so if that were to be packaged in where it's a no-brainer, you sign up and you've got like 2 days of activities, and to make it more attractive, I would make it a package of like maybe 3 activities, and you choose from out of like 6 to 8 different type of activities to suit your needs. Because more often I see a lot of if they do have packages, they're not always suitable for everybody's taste, right? So a kind of a package, but with still freedom of choice within the package, and bundled together with the hotel stay, I think would be great to get people moving. So you don't have to think about it. I know many people, one of the hardest things about going traveling is deciding where to go, how to go, what to do, right? So if you have just a package to pick from, then it becomes a lot easier for people to say, why don't we just do this? Yeah, so that's a yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like what we did before many years ago during Cuti Malaysia, you know. So the package is one of them, plus also throwing in the F&B package as well, and tying up with retail as well. So that will be a bit more choice for customers to look at, so that if they go to certain part, either JB or to Penang or KL or even here or KK and Kuching, so you get to get the different business stakeholders also involved. So it's just not hotel. So you support the entire supply chain as well. Especially if you go to Penang, every one of us want to eat in the hawker stalls, whether it's in Aitam or whether it's in McAllister Road or Burma Road. But if you don't tie that in with the hotels, it makes no difference actually, because the hotels F&B in Penang, they don't really do much sales at the end of the day. It's just that they depend on the room sales. You see, so and then the other thing is bundling up as well events as well. Since now you can start to have a bigger seminar, so you can have a lot of these sightseeings. Whereas like whenever someone wants to come to KK, I ask them, do you want to go to the islands or you want to go to the mountain? So we got the island package and we have the mountain package. So it all depends on the price point actually, on how it's going to be packaged basically. So it helps the consumer more at this moment.
Okay. All right. So, okay, there's another question just came in, right? So I'm running an event business. And during this COVID time, of course, event companies are badly hit. Now, how do I, start getting things up back again? Do you all have any ideas?
If you look at Malaysia, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask what kind of events. I think that's a relevant thing that we need to know before we can kind of come up with the ideas. Yeah, go ahead, Munes.
Yeah, Munes.
Any specific events was mentioned in the question?
While waiting, all right, we just put back an answer, and while waiting for the answer, let's just events. Those who are, let's say, they're organizing weddings, things like functions and all. How do they cope up with this?
Actually, those wedding planners have been really affected. A lot of weddings have been postponed. I have my cousin's wedding have been postponed, God knows to when now. And those who are having wedding. But last week, we just saw a live wedding on FB on one of the resorts here, don't want to mention. And they already started doing that already. So it all actually, once the events and conference industry actually takes off, it will really help the rest of the stakeholders in there. So basically, at the moment, is doing more of road shows that can actually help people be more aware that this industry is actually live and kicking with a smaller scale events than going back up to the bigger ones.
Just off the cuff, for me, I would say I would look for ways to bring the events digital to a perspective. Very much, I think some of you have seen some of our BNI members like Pavas hunts, which we have started to move their treasure hunting online, virtual hunts they call them. I've seen some of my events. They're also trying to move things online by having. I think there was something like I believe an unstoppable summit. So moving some events online and getting probably not charging the thousands of dollars to attend this kind of events and getting these speakers, but generally the content can be, I believe, a little bit can be the same, but just the experience of delivery is now online and maybe a little bit cheaper. So I would look for events, or I would look for industries where there's definitely still a need for those trainings. In fact, I think even comedians like Jason Leong are moving their shows online. By having people buy tickets online and watching the show broadcast on Zoom or YouTube Live, and it being a paid experience. So I think events companies like need to look for niches of where they can move some of these events into a digital delivery format. That to me would be a little bit more, maybe not 100%, but maybe 50-60% of the experience can be delivered there. That would be my take on it.
Okay.
Actually, Success Resources is doing that.
Exactly.
Most of the seminars now are online. You can see the last 2 months or so. So yes, the impact is, of course, is not the same, because we are social creatures. We like to be at that place, at the spot, and we like to mix and mingle around, right?
Definitely. No.
Yeah. So knowing us, we will get back to the old way of socializing during events and conference. But going digital, yeah, is just one of the ways.
Yeah, I think for road shows, if you're talking about road shows, perhaps just figuring out the SOP is one of the biggest things. I think if you can figure out the SOP so that you can get people through going in one way and avoiding the clumping, then it's certainly very viable to do. Because I think people still crave that kind of face-to-face interaction and that live feeling, the buzz of the crowd kind of thing. I think it's just figuring out the SOPs. And I think the people in the acrylic industry are going to do a booming business after this, as it becomes one of the key factors in like allowing people to have that presence with still the safety factor, right?
True,
Yeah.
true.
Acrylic.
Yeah.
I've even
Why is
seen
that?
they like some restaurants, they have been having this kind of small
The four-sided
cubicles
acrylic,
and-
yeah. In fact, I think there's a restaurant in is it Belgium or is it one of the EU countries where the restaurant came back by building glass booths for 2 people to sit. So, but unfortunately, those booths are taken up months in ahead now because everybody wants to still eat out. And it's a glass booth by the river where you can have your dinner, your meal, and you're totally enclosed. So the waiter passes through the food through a slot, and then you enjoy a beautiful evening by the river, but you're totally covered. No one can, no one makes stuff like that.
Yeah, I just saw online this gym that they're doing group exercise classes, which is one of the most popular things at the gym, but definitely cannot do because like all the sweat and all that flying off is so dangerous, right? And all the like water vapor being exhaled and everything, and so they've built these partitions, so everyone has got like 2 square meters of space. And now they fit a crowd of 30 people in, and the instructor is still up on the stage doing the thing. Everybody is enjoying it, and they feel the presence, but they are safe. Right. So I thought that's quite an interesting concept.
Yeah, so that means it's like a glass partition, right?
Yeah,
acrylic, yeah.
Acrylic, yeah. So safer, acrylic, and cheaper and lighter. So for events, that have a main speaker, this might become one of the viable ways to do it, and maybe can figure out cheaper ways rather than acrylic, like semi-tent-like structures that are foldable. So there's going to be new business and new technologies coming out of this. Yeah, just a thought.
Okay, another question. It just came up. What about optometrists who are running shops, especially in shopping complexes?
Well, I mean, I was in touch with the president of the Optometry Association. Basically, when we were consulting, we said of course the one thing right now, you've got to change your appointments to everyone by appointment only as much as possible. So secondly, if there's really going to be contact, it's really about as much as possible maintaining that social distancing. If you have to have your eyes checked, then it's about having that barrier so that there's not much contact. In terms of the the glasses, right? There's no way about it. I think it's about getting the customer to, as much as possible, probably limit the amount of lenses they try on, or trying to narrow down what they're looking for. There are, of course, some brands like Warby Parker who have very early on pioneered digital technology where the glasses are superimposed onto your face just by looking at the camera. That may be a long-term plan that you might want to consider as a brand, because ultimately I don't think we can never be sure when the next pandemic is coming, but the reality is that things like this is going to affect us, and there's just no way around it lah. The SOP, I think right now, the way we're advising our clients, you got to break your business or retail down into 3 phases. The first phase being focusing on the safety aspects. So your counters being constantly sanitized, little notifications, whether a sticker that indicates that this surface is sanitized every 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And definitely you have to find a way to kind of disinfect everything the client touches. So for us right now, we were telling clients, your first phase is focused on the safety aspect for customers coming back into your store. Then the second phase would be moving into more of how do you kind of reorient your retail so that customers don't end up bumping into each other. So kind of making a flow like what we see in IKEA, where everyone travels in one direction. So you don't have customers doubling back as much as possible. And of course, the last phase we would say is looking at technological adoptions, whether it's having a strong online presence or whether it's technologies for contactless payment. So these are the things that's going to change retail. We believe, and we're also advising all our clients to look into it.
Right. Okay. So, friends, while we are, please drop in your questions early. We're going to finish the show very soon. So just drop in your questions early so that if there are any last questions you have, you can always drop by and have them answered by these brilliant minds. Right. Okay. So a question that I like to ask is, what are some of the, some of the companies you have personally seen that have really pivoted during this time? What were they before, and what did they change, and what happened after that? Why did they thrive?
Well, for me, I've seen quite a fair bit of retailers moving into online. Of course, they were, a lot of them were helped by brands like, especially the F&B. A lot of them were helped by companies like StoreHub, where they very quickly mobilized their delivery service. I think it's called Beep It. That was their way of pushing you their POS system, which comes with the free delivery and ordering service. So they allowed their customers to change. Another one was a very small bakery in Taman Tun, who very quickly used WhatsApp to reach out to customers that said, you can order from us, we will get it delivered to you. But what they did was they didn't give write-off discounts. They said we went the route of buy 4 free 1, that kind of thing. So they were very quickly pivoted to an online model just to keep the business running. I've also seen really high-end restaurants which pivoted to, because a meal at their restaurant would cost a few $100, they started to move into more everyday food, which would cost 10% of that amount, just to keep the restaurant running. So these are the brands that I see that when they quickly pivot, right, the chances of them surviving is much higher.
Right. Thanks, Tim. Ginhai?
Yeah, I saw a caterer who's a slightly higher end caterer who used to do mainly for events. So they need to do volume, right? So selling piecemeal to consumers isn't going to cut it for them. So they did a really interesting campaign. It's like support a frontliner campaign, and it's like a box of desserts or a box of pastries or something like that. And I think it actually was like 70 or 80 ringgit, for like 12 pastries or something like that. And it's like, send it as a gift to a frontliner that you know, that you've met. You know, whether it's the policeman at the roadblock, or it's like your local pharmacist, or the nurse at the hospital, you know, or even the cleaner who's been still out cleaning the streets, even though you know, they are exposed to it, but they still have to do it because somebody's got to keep it clean. If not, the drains will get clogged and stuff like that. So I think they did a roaring business because, by and large, as just now you mentioned, Malaysians like to help. Very bite-hearted, all of us.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and it's not an exorbitant amount. So 70, 80 ringgit, and they did these boxes were flying off and going to all the frontliners, and very often the frontliners who receive them don't even know who is the kind soul who has sent it to them. Just people wanted to appreciate them, do what we can to support them in this time that they've done so much for us, right? So that was I thought a really great idea, tapping onto it, and you have to have an understanding of the culture of the people, right? Yeah. So that's one of the businesses. The other one is actually a client of ours. After we consulted with them, they're an ID company. And they were doing specifically renovations and design for rental units, like Airbnb kind of units. So of course, starting from February, the business totally dried up. And after going through and brainstorming and everything, he came up with a model where he's now doing online ID design. So you send him the plans for your unit, and he does a full design and mock-up, 2D, 3D, everything, and sends it back to you. And then if you want his advice on like which kind of contractor should come in first and what are like decent prices and stuff like that, that's an add-on.
Right.
Yeah.
So it
So
becomes
go ahead.
Yes. So it becomes a lot easier for people to start doing something on a smaller basis.
Yeah, and it also saves them costs, because if you hire the ID to do it, part of it is them supervising the contractor and liaising with everybody. And that is a fairly large amount. If I'm not mistaken, Tim, for residential, like a condo or something, 10 to 15,000 would be part of the fee, something like that.
I think so. I've lost touch with that because I don't really do house, but I believe you're right. It's about that amount, I would believe.
So it creates a win-win situation for them. Yeah, and then of course, if they want his advice on who to go to for certain furnishings and stuff like that, he's got the suppliers, and that's an opportunity to make an additional commission. Yeah.
Right.
So I was very excited about this now, because now I can reach like even especially regions where an ID might be more expensive. Now they can have an ID designed home, but without the high cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Munesh, yeah, very interesting indeed. I love hearing these kind of stories because, like, it just opens up and gives a whole new way of looking at things. Munesh, do you have any suggestions?
No, actually not much. A team already covered on the F&B side, actually.
Okay.
So a couple of hotels are doing that.
All right. So do you all have any ideas? Have you all seen any of them, like, once they started moving online, they decided to go to a much larger geography? For example, originally, like, Ginhai's friend who's doing ID, and then they started, serving this ID, doing the ID online. And then if they can do online, they can do, instead of just KL and PJ, they can just, serve the whole of Malaysia. And why stop in Malaysia? They can even go to Australia, Singapore, and all, right? Have you all seen any companies just going like that and going to a much larger geography because of this COVID situation?
BNI.
BNI.
I would say BNI. Because now we are doing calls with India, with China, business matching calls. So they have actually taken it really to another level. And now there's no more excuse of sending a trainer to Sabah. Everything can be done online. Even any hub trainings, we don't have to go to Penang or KL. So I would say that's one of them, that they actually have used this online and taken business that still can be done via online. Referrals still can be done via online. I mean, we all know that, right? So you don't really have to have a face-to-face meeting, but you still have your virtual, and you still can do business.
Yes. Any other examples you have seen?
Yeah,
Ginhai?
and another client of ours, they are a Mandarin class provider, and previously they were wary of expansion because the moment you open a new outlet, the renovation cost, the commitment to keep that unit for like 2 years kind of thing, and then not sure whether or not they can get the students in that area. But by going online, all of a sudden, venue is the location.
Ginhai, we lost you for a while, Ginhai. The voice. Can you repeat it again? The sound just went off. Now it's muted.
Is it better now?
Yeah, now it's good.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so they were providing Mandarin classes, and they were wary of the expansion because of the cost of the renovation and all that. And yet, if they didn't expand, they would lose out on customers because they would get inquiries, and then people wanted to come, but then when they found out about the location, oh, too far, 40 minutes, 45 minutes to drive susah, lah. Then traffic jam, all this parking, So people had all these reasons, all these barriers to signing up. But when he went online during this period, in fact, he found that the parents actually enjoyed it better because now they don't have to go send their kids everything. The kids can have the class, and he managed to make it effective enough. And so now they're actually launching more online classes, and now, regardless of where they are in the country, they can come and join his class already. So he's very excited about the kind of expansion he can have now without the capital expenditure. Yeah.
Right. So is he teaching kids or adults on
Kids.
in Mandarin? Kids.
And now moving to adults as well.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges and how did he manage to solve teaching online to kids, for example? Because I've been hearing this, with some of the friends who are running businesses who are teaching kids, they are having some issues because of the short attention span, etc. So what does he do that creates more engagement with the students and all?
Yeah, so they use a system called blended learning. So part of it is interactive, like online system where it's kind of game based, and also person-to-person based. Right? So there's certain parts where the other kids are so-called doing the online game, practicing their Mandarin, and then they have a few others who are doing a face-to-face with the teacher.
I
So
see.
his system translated really well to that. And then they found that they actually did need to have an assistant as well, just to monitor the rest of them. Because I think we've all seen the video on Facebook where the kid, like 10 of them are on the screen, 9 of them are all doing their work, and one of them is sitting there like that, right? Yeah. But because so many on the screen, sometimes the teacher doesn't notice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
it
training the instructors to kind of have that skill to pick it up and keep checking to everybody as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a whole different challenge altogether. But if you can do that, you can overcome that challenge. That'll be like, you can actually just, scale up the number of classes a lot, right?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, for our own business as well, we are launching team building, a hybrid version of team building online. Yeah. So in fact, it's like, because we're not allowed to have large gatherings unless you have the space, and then it
Right.
becomes prohibitive in cost, right? Because cost savings is one of the concerns right now. If you want to
Yes.
rent a big hall for like 20 people, then the cost of the training goes up. So
Yes.
what we're doing is small groups in offices where there's sufficient space to distance, and then we
Right.
connect everything. And by doing that, we can do large groups doing the training online, but they can still have that connection and the social distancing as well. And so with that, now we are talking to a client in Indonesia to do that. Yeah.
Wow. So maybe you can just share a little bit more, like how you're doing it again, because you said there's a mix of physical groups and online groups. Is that what
Yeah.
you shared just now?
That's correct. So might be, let's say, 10 clusters of 5 people.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So each in a different location, but brought together on, like, say, Zoom or Skype or something like that. Yeah. So we run the training from a central location, and that's we connect with them online to the different groups.
Wow, that would be an interesting experience indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe just before we finish the show today, right? Maybe Tim, Inhai, and Munes, you can share a little bit of what you do, so that for the benefit of everyone else and whoever wants to get in touch with you all, they know exactly what you all do, what's your expertise. They can reach out to you. Maybe Tim, you want to start first?
Okay. Yeah. Well, for me, as I mentioned, I'm an interior designer, but I very much focus on retail only. So I'm right now. What we're really busy with right now is speaking to retail clients, how they can actually grow their business. Primarily, guiding them on online strategies, guiding them on reorientating their retail space, so that they can easily bring clients in, and of course, trying to look for ways where they can actually expand online as well. So that's what we are really looking at, and that's what we're still going to be driving the business in the for the next at least 12 to 24 months.
Thanks, Tim. Ginhai, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Vyasa. Definitely, if anybody is in retail, look for Tim. He's really an expert in the field, a lot of experience. So for us, we are business consultants, and we work with especially micro and SME businesses. And what we've been doing to support them is we run a series of programs, or also coaching and consulting on individual basis on how to survive and recover, how to pivot and transform and use the kind of resources that they have available to them, whether it is their brand or their skills or the whatever resources that they have, to transform that into something that is of value and that people will want to pay money for. And then, of course, talk about the monetization strategy and how to make it easier for people to say yes. So we've been helping many businesses to create their recovery plan after going through all this tumultuous period. So if anybody is looking for some guidance, I'll be more than happy to speak. No obligation. Just we're on a mission to help at least 1,000 SMEs to survive this. Yeah.
Awesome. And Munes?
Hi, what I do is I train and coach individuals and companies, which is SMEs as well. Coaching is more on live coaching and executive coaching. And training is basically more on how to enhance your revenue or revenue optimization, plus leadership and customer service. And the one interesting thing that I love to do is how to strategize and re-strategize your business goals actually. So during this period actually is how do you re-strategize and refocus and get better clarity for your businesses moving forward. Thank you.
All right. So super. I think we had a lot of good ideas today. It was really an awesome sharing by all three of y'all. Actually, I had a lot of light bulb moments myself. Very good ideas. And friends, if you all want to reach them, you can always those who are in LinkedIn, they are all in LinkedIn. You can see the tags there. They are also on Facebook. Munes, Ginhai, and Tim. Of course, you can always check out the YouTubes we have. You can check out the past interviews too in our past series. The links are at the bottom of this. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vaisa.
Vaisa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Again, very soon for some coffee. We should catch up again.
I need to fly over.
Please do.
Soon.
So we'll catch up again sometime soon. And friends, if you want to reach out to them, again, look out for them in the LinkedIn or in Facebook anytime. And thank you very much for watching. See you again sometime very soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks. See ya. Bye.
Bye.